get set, because it's time to go with the It's 420 Somewhere podcast. With your host with the most, the man voted most likely to smoke out with a Yeti, Mr. Brian Brown. Mr. Brian Brown. Now sit back and relax, because it's time to go live across the world. Because it's 420 Somewhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? We are back. That's right, with the It's 420 Somewhere podcast. I'm your host, Brian Brown, coming live from the back rooms again. I can't get out of this place, guys. I fell down a mine shaft, and I'm in the back rooms, getting chased by all sorts of crazy monsters. I keep the door open because they could come any second, guys. Oh, man, down in the back rooms. It's live at 420. Welcome, guys. Welcome to It's 420 Somewhere podcast. I'm your host, Brian Brown. And what this is, what you stumbled into, is the craziest, the wildest, the wackiest 420 countdown show of all time, guys. We get into everything. Movie Monday. We get into True Crime Thursday. We get into Paranormal Tuesday. We get into Baked and Unboxed on Friday, guys. What that one is, it's the prize, man. It's the one you want to watch, guys. You want to get in on the giveaways. Baked and Unboxed. We unbox all the craziest subscription boxes, guys. We're talking kitchen utensils. We're talking autographs, collectibles. We're talking samurai swords. You name it, we unbox it, guys. Shoes, jewelry, watches, watch gang, baby. We unbox it all, guys. That's on Friday. We do our main giveaways on Friday, which we'll talk about in a minute. But also what we do, guys, is we do Weed Wednesday, where we celebrate all things weed related, guys. Craziness, you name it, guys. Everything weed related. And we got a great one for you today, guys. We got a psychic on board, guys. Ooh, that's right. Jessica King. We're going to sit down and talk to make sure I had that right before we're going to sit down and talk to.
That's not what you're meant to do.
Yes, Jessica King. I have to get it right. It's a great interview, guys. It's only about about 40 minutes long or so. Really, really good interview. Man, she gets some great pointers. If you're into psychics, you're into that kind of stuff, make sure you're checking it out, guys. We get crazy. That's usually a Paranormal Tuesday, but it's a weed thing too. We love to get psychics with the weed, guys. Let's see. So we got that going on, but let's talk giveaways. Giveaways, guys. We got some good ones. Friday, we are going to be giving away the Megan Fox autograph, guys. Woo, Megan Fox. Can you believe it? Wow, the Fox, Machine Gun Kelly's girlfriend. We are hooking you up with Megan Fox, guys. You get to take her home in 11x17. She's wearing like a jacket thing and her underwear, sexy photo. Megan Fox, guys. It's like a $200 piece. I definitely would be hashtagging Fox on that one, guys. We also got hashtag Halloween. You're going to get in on the Halloween giveaway, guys. What this is a Laurie Strode realty sign. We already got Douglas Tate that plays Michael Myers, stunt double in the movie. We're going to get a whole bunch more on there, and we're going to be giving that away, guys. We also got a Universal Monsters giveaway. So check out Universal Monsters, hashtag Monsters. What else we got? Hashtag Daily Dank, guys. That's an important one. Hashtag the Daily Dank. Just keep that going. You're going to get hit up with a random giveaway, guys. But one I'm really looking forward to, guys, if you leave just any random comment on this video, on any of my videos, guys, you have to go back and you have to actually leave a comment, not in the live chat. And anything, tomato, pasta. I don't care what you put in there. Put anything. Put a zillion things in there and a zillion different comments. It helps the algorithm, guys. It really keeps it moving. So blow up those comments for me. I appreciate it. And I'm putting together a Daily Dank box. This is going to have all sorts of swag in it, guys. And it's going to be given to one lucky random commenter That's right. So you want to get in, make sure you get in where you fit in, guys. That's right. Get in on these giveaways. Friday, we're going to be doing a BAM box, the BAM horror box. You know, we'll be giving some stuff away from there. I got Funko Pops up to Yin Yang, the giveaway, guys. I've been loading up. So make sure you're tuning in. Baked and Unboxed on Friday. Get in on these giveaways, guys. We do a great horse race video. Game that, you know, if you win, you guys got to be there to see it. Friday, check it out. And I just got a box from Autograph Alliance, too. That's going to be really good. They'll go live tonight, so we'll know that one. I'll be reviewing that, as well as 2 other boxes from BAM, 3 autograph boxes. There's 3 autographs in each box, and then a bunch of other stuff. So we'll be checking those out, too. A lot of stuff coming up, guys. A lot of stuff. All right, before we get into the meat and potatoes, we still got a few minutes before 4:20, guys, and I want to go over some cannabis news. It's Weed Wednesday. Let's talk some marijuana news, marijuana news. It's news to you. It's news to me. It's news to all of us because it's marijuana news. That's right, guys. Marijuana news brought to you by the Healing Center, 1400 Needles Highway, Needles, California, your #1 cannabis superstore in all the land, guys. Right across the bridge, the first thing you're going to see. Get in on some of these deals, guys. You got 2 days left on the BOGO. The BOGO. The BOGO, the BOGO, the BOGO. That's right. You got 2 days left on these BOGOs, guys. Get down there. The traditional with Pennywise on it. Get that. Get that. I wish I had a little longer legs. But, man, it's a fire deal. Man, all sorts of great deals. Head on down there, guys. Get it, get it, get it. All right, we're going to look at some cannabis news. This is nationwide, guys, nationwide. Let's see what's happening out there in the world of marijuana. Let's see. Fetterman shows support for Wiz Khalifa as a Wiz Khalifa as a rapper. Gets stoned as fuck on marijuana and cyphofilin to throw opening pitch at MLB game. We're going to have to read this. Senator. Can we close that? Okay. Is this the guy I don't like? Senator, yes, this is the guy I do not like. Of course, this guy. This fucking guy. Senator John Fetterman. I didn't want Dr. Oz to win, but this fucking guy. Anyway, tactically endorsed rapper Wiz Khalifa and planned to get stoned as fuck on marijuana before throwing the ceremonial first pitch at Pittsburgh Pirates game. Of course, it's in Pittsburgh. Sorry, Mr. Crispers. Sorry, Mr. Crisper. Sorry. You may love this guy. He's probably like a Philly guy, right? Like he's a Philly. Yeah. He's probably just like a normal Philadelphia guy or Pennsylvania guy. Average Joe, probably worked down at the freaking mines or the steel mill or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. He just seems a little off to me. Khalifa first said that he planned to get high. Before the game on Monday, and Fetterman quoted a tweet with a photo of him holding up a flag that says, "It's 420 somewhere." He's supporting us, guys. He's supporting us. The senator has been known to use flags to promote policy positions on cannabis and other issues. So he didn't actually go get, I don't know, man. I won't get in. We don't talk politics. But the rapper also shared a picture of the same day showing 2 jars of cannabis and what appeared to be a cyphofilin edible package with a symbol that features a mushroom on it. Ooh. While it might look like a regulated product, there's no licensed business that sells these for recreational use. What? My God, Fetterman, a Pennsylvania native and Pirates fan. Well, that's a lot what's wrong with him right there. A Pirates fan. Oh, I'm a Cubs fan, man. I hate the Pirates. I'm going to tell you, fucking Jay Bell, and he used to do that over his, if you guys don't know, they had a signal. This guy, Jay Bell. I hated Jay Bell. Shortstop for the Pirates back in the 90s. This son of a bitch. He used to kill the Cubs all the time. And he would do a sign where he put his glove over and open his mouth, and it meant something. And it meant anyway, we won't get into that. But I do not like Jay Bell. in case you guys were wondering. For example, economic boom for his home state of Pennsylvania, as referred to mushroom capital of the world. So he's playing the game. He's trying to get mushrooms regulated. He can't, you know what I mean? I won't hate the guy for that. He has some mental health problems. I mean, he's checked himself in the hospitals and stuff. It is what it is. You know, we've all been there. So I support the guy. Hey, man, if mushrooms make you feel better, then do them. Make me feel like shit. I'll tell you that right now. It doesn't do good. Speaking of marijuana, guys, get ready, get set, get ready to count it down because it's 1 minute before 420, guys. I want to know what you guys are getting into. Who's got that bong? Who's got that dab rig? Who's got that pipe? Who's got the hash pipe, baby? Who's got the hash pipe, man? Who's got those flaming hot Cheetos? 420 isn't just about weed, guys. It's about peace of mind. It's about regulating emotions. It's about taking a moment for yourself. Man, you know what? At 420, you need a moment. You spent all day dealing with other people's shit. You spent all day freaking listening to some guy. You just spent the last 10 minutes listening to me. Man, you need a moment. Whether it's a glass of wine, Coke like the soda, Baja Blast. You guys know I love me some Baja Blast. Whatever it is, weed, you know, whatever gives you that peace of mind, gives you that relaxation. That's what 420 is, guys. So what I want you to do is I want you to inhale the positivity. Exhale that negativity, guys, because you are you. You're one of a kind. You're amazing. And fuck the people that don't think so. Guys, celebrate it because it's 420. How was your 420, guys? Mine was lit. I'm getting into super awesome dope. That's right. Last 2 days of the BOGO. Get down there, guys. I got me some super awesome dope. Ooh, it's hot, top shelf, but man, it's fire, pants on fire. Whew, so good. Throw some crumble on there too, man. The knockout. And you guys will be flying high, just like me. All right, guys, it's Weed Wednesday. I actually want to cover one more headline before we go. Get into the main meat and potato. Let's see what we got. You know what? This one's a good one for all you growers. We got a lot of people from Pennsylvania out there. Bipartisan Pennsylvania senators file bill to let medical marijuana patients grow their own plants. They're not even there yet in Pennsylvania. Wow. Man, lucky I didn't get stopped. I was over there. A suitcase would have got me in a lot of trouble. No, wow, that's pretty interesting. Top federal health officials say psychedelics Schedule 1 status creates hurdles to study them. I could see that, man. All these like serious drug regulations must make it hard to get them to be able to study and all that. This year, guys, The big news in the cannabis industry is going to be cannabis banking is a priority for Schumer. He's the Democratic guy over there. Yeah, that's important, man. This banking thing needs to get figured out ASAP. They need to be able to deposit their money and not just freaking have cash everywhere. It's getting a little better, but they need to figure that out. It's here to stay. Let's just be honest about it. All right, guys, we are going to get into this interview with the great and powerful Jessica King, guys. Awesome psychic, amazing lady. Had a great time interviewing her. Guys, stick around, check this out. You're going to get some insight. So, all right, guys, we will see you at 7:10 a.m. I'll see you in the morning. Boom.
Hey, what's up, guys? We are back, and we have an exciting one today. We dedicate a whole day of the podcast, Paranormal Tuesday, to all things that we don't understand, that we really want to grasp towards and understand more and more. And I think this is where this individual really comes in. We've talked to a lot of paranormal investigators, those type of people, but we've never talked to a sensitive, someone who can actually cross those barriers and kind of educate us a little bit. And I think we're in for a great one today, guys. So please give it up for Jessica King. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great, doing really good. Thank you so much for coming. We've been looking forward to this one. I'm excited. So you're sensitive. Can you kind of where are your areas of specialties, and can you kind of help us understand a little bit?
Sure. So my parameter is a clairvoyant medium. Clairvoyant mediums, they specifically talk with the departed in the spirit realm. So that's, specifically what I focus on is, communication with anyone that is no longer in this world or maybe never has been of this world. So I can work with anything from the angelic realm to I've dealt with even stuff that's from the darker realms. So. Oh.
How, so on the darker stuff, does that take a lot of your physical energy from you? That a little more in depth than an angelic, or just a basic?
No, there's nothing basic, anything when it comes to the spirit realm. I think that's always a
yeah.
But I will say that the negative or lower vibration ones, it can really run the gamut. So, I guess as I've grown in my gifts and become more familiar with them all, I can say that no matter what, when you're dealing with a negative or lower vibration entity, demon, whatever you want to call them, they are going to draw more energy. They're going to be something that's going to be a little bit, harder to work with, and sometimes are not going to, they're like that friend that doesn't have any boundaries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We know all about that on the show. Some say I am that friend.
We all wear a shirt sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So when was it that you first kind of felt this and kind of maybe decided that it's something you wanted to jump into and explore a little further, or was it something that you didn't get a choice in? Yeah.
There you go. So I've known it my whole life. So I've actually, seen things that I knew that other people didn't see. Growing up, it was called an overactive imagination. And because I am in the deep South, of course, it was one of those things that I was always told, that's just not something you do. So the majority of my life, I actually chose to shut it down and try to not deal with it because I didn't know how to, or even really control any of the messages and the stuff that came. So but during, I guess, a lot of tragedies that I had in my life, I said the blinders kind of flung off at that point, and I no longer had a choice. That was about 10 years, a little over 10 years ago. Actually, no, we're looking at closer to 12 years ago now. That I started working as a closet medium. So I would deliver messages, but it would only be to people that possibly I knew or that my friends brought to me. And that's kind of where it all started, was I just would deliver it in my safe zone. Yeah. And I was working in corporate America, had been for, 20 plus years. And they kept saying, this is not what you're meant to do. This is, you're meant to do this. And I was like, I don't want to. That's weird.
Yeah.
So thanks. I'm good. You know,
Yeah.
and they didn't take that answer. So I went down the like I said, it was face first down the gravel road. Is the path that they took me. So I kind of was drugged down this path when I wasn't really. It wasn't what I wanted, but I will say this has been the most rewarding career I've ever had. So.
Yeah. What is it? Baptism by fire? Is that kind of how it happens?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
Absolutely.
So before we started, we were talking, and then you said that you had felt like a presence that they came into the house, and the dog felt it too. Is that something that happens often? And I mean, have you got to a point where you can just tell them to go away, or like?
Oh, absolutely, I can. The interesting, I just moved to this house like in the last week, so which is always a fun time for me when I first move into a new place, because especially that is generally when they can kind of be a little more amped up because they're like, oh look, there's somebody that sees us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can tell them to go away, and but the way that I look at it is they know that my rule is that anytime I'm in this room that all bets are off, that I'm open for communication because I'm inside my office space. But there has been somebody that's a few people that have been wandering through since I moved in. So that's always interesting. But now I no longer at least accept the messages that when I'm walking through the stores, and I mean then I'm like all of a sudden there's some lady I'm passing and they're like, you have to tell her, and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like chasing somebody down that I don't know, which gets really weird. And my son told me to stop doing that because he was like, Mom, please don't do that anymore. That's super weird. And I was like, but yeah, I at least put that blinder on.
Yeah. So we've talked to a few like paranormal groups, investigators, and the general consensus that we kind of found is that like a lot of these spirits are left unfinished business or lost a little bit, things that like they maybe don't want to cross over. Maybe they're comfortable with where they're at, that type of thing. Yeah. So have you found that and that's what we were kind of like we're discussing, is that like more like, I could imagine the ones with unfinished business, they see you and you can hear them. I could imagine it's almost like a desperate, oh my God, you can hear me. Yeah. Can you do this? And I'm sure politeness goes out the window, right?
It totally goes out the window. And when I did not know how to put the boundaries up, it was I would be woke up to my entire bed shaking because they were like, hey, wait, I got something I need you to tell somebody. Or I'd even wake up with them sitting next to me in bed. And I was like, this is weird. And okay, I mean, I'm sleeping and you're in my bed, so I'm gonna need that to stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta have some personal space. Yeah. But and you being in my bed is not personal space. Yeah, a lot of times it's unfinished business. I have found that there are some that are in fear of the afterlife for one reason or another. Some of it may be the fact of what they did here. Yeah. And the life that they lived, and they're concerned about what direction they're going to go in with that. And they kind of want to, they think it's safer to stay here than it is to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, I find that it is because there is unfinished business, or because there is such a strong tie to something that they don't feel like they can leave yet. So, yeah.
Yeah. We also talked about, and I think it was probably my only real experience with I've had I'm a filmmaker, so I've worked on camera crews that we did investigations, and I've only had one reel that I'm like, wait a minute. But as far as a personal experience, we talked a lot about they called it the 2-day rule, where when someone passes, there's a little window where they can kind of reassure you, hey, it's okay, I'm going. I had one experience with my aunt who passed away a couple years ago, where I've been known to lose my keys, and if I ever find the guy who steals them and hides them in the house, oh man, he's gonna be in for it. But I had lost my keys, and I remember saying something like, oh, and the keys just appeared. And for whatever reason, I'm like, that's my aunt telling me hey, I appreciate what you did, or, everything's going to be okay. This keys are nothing. Don't worry about it, type of thing. Yeah. Does that happen a lot, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that some of my favorite, I guess some of my favorite things is that when they come through and they want to deliver certain messages, but they a lot of times want to like confirm like certain things that have happened since they've been gone. That they're trying to make sure that you're aware of, and it's always interesting. I had one session that the big message, I was like, what is the first thing that you need me to tell her? And he was like, tell her not to forget her panties. And I was like, excuse me? And I was like, that's the starting line? And he was like, absolutely. And she literally she was crying, she was laughing so hard, but it was a joke between them that I would have never known. Yeah. So but and those are those things that that when they want to make sure that they get those messages across, to make sure that you're aware that that either I'm hide the keys or thank you for this. That's what I hear more often than not. I want to tell them thank you, or I'm sorry, or I love you, or I didn't do this enough for them, or I wanted to tell them how much I appreciated. There's a lot of those messages that they want to make sure they get across.
Yeah, no, I could imagine. And it would be hard to, like, if you have unfinished business on things that you wanted to say. We put so much emotion in our family and that kind of stuff that, yeah, definitely, I could see how the crossover. And if you didn't live your life the way you might have thought you needed to, that would be scary too. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they do have that little window of, I guess, time frame, like you were talking about, that, before they do cross, they can, get over and it's not as much of a thing. I think there's been a few that I've worked with. One of them that had been, it had been centuries. It was an interesting case because I was called to a home, and when I was called out there was, she's like, and I always tell them, I was like, I don't want any information. I just want the address, and I'll show up and then we'll go from there. And when I got there, she was like, do you get anything? And I was like, well, there's a woman screaming by that tree over there. And I was like, and she won't shut up. And I was like, but she's just screaming her freaking head off. And she looks at me and she goes, that's why you're here. And I was like, I would assume, she's screaming like a banshee. And she said that like every year around that same time of year that woman had been screaming so loud that even it had been audible to like her neighbors, and the police had been called because they thought that there was something wrong in her home, like that she was getting harmed. And I was like, yeah, well, she's got a lot to talk about here. So that's always an interesting thing, because those people that have been stuck here for a long time, it's a process to be able to get them to at least give that information to you, share the details with you, and then help them to get to the other side so that they can actually feel like they're finally at peace. Yeah. A lot harder than the ones that have just been a couple of days and they need to make sure that they're okay, that, maybe they missed church a few times and they want to make sure that they didn't get sent straight to hell for it.
Yeah. So you're almost a detective in a sense, right? Like, you get some basic information and then you have to run with it and then figure out kind of what these spirits or what they're trying to tell you ultimately, like, to help them, right? Like, that's what it sounds like.
Absolutely. I guess it would be that way. But it's just me and them having a conversation that other people generally can't hear. So, yeah. But yeah, my big thing though is that there's a lot of people that have, I guess, distorted and perverted this industry where they, they will say that they have gifts that they don't. So that's why I'm very cautious about asking for any information. I'm like, give me the address. You can, don't give me anything else. I don't want what your experience. I don't want what your, what's happening. Just let me show up and let me, communicate with them, because it can, not only can it, I guess, alter the messages, or it can put too much influence into what I may think before I get there, and it may not be accurate because it's just what they think.
Yeah. 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 And you're right. Like, I know what you were saying about people and they're like being open and people taking advantage or whatever. I remember my grandma lived to about 96, I believe. And from like 92, probably even before, but I noticed it from like when she was 92 and beyond, that she became very, very aware and wanted to know as much as she possibly could about the afterlife. And why wouldn't you? I mean, at that age, it could be any day. Yeah. So she was watching all these TV psychics and all, hoping to get on the phone with them. And I was like, oh, poor grandma. But I could understand, like, that's the biggest next step for forget Christmas, forget Thanksgiving, whatever, the grandbaby that's coming. I need to know, this could happen any day. And some people could take advantage of that. Yeah. Like I could totally see that.
For sure. That's why I've had a very strong draw recently to be doing some death doula work, where you work with the people that are passing over so that you can help them to explain to them what's coming up and how that's going to work. Because I think that it is such a, I think for some people it's really can be scary.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's the unknown. I think in life, just in general, it's the scariest thing we'll ever have to face because we can't comprehend it. We don't know it. Like no matter how much we think we can. And I think that everybody, it's a scary thing. If you're one of those bozos, I don't fear death, blah, blah, blah. I want to see you on the line if you decide to cross over or not. That's what I want to see. Because I think we all are scared of it. Can you walk us through a little bit of the process? Like you said, there's like a window that, finish up. And then is like, do we ultimately have the decision if we want to cross over or kind of stick around or?
You do. But what I always warn people is that sticking around is actually very dangerous. And the reason it's very dangerous is because you're actually you're not just intermingled with earthbound spirits at that point. You're actually intermingled with earthbound spirits and low level, possibly like demonic and dark energies. So it's a very dangerous ground for people to stay here. That's why when I hear people that are stuck, I'm like, we need to help them.
Yeah.
Because they don't need to be stuck here, because the fact is that they could actually, it can be very dangerous for them to be stuck in that in between,
Yeah.
So, but the crossing over process, I mean, I think is a lot less, not as crazy as people think. I mean, I think that I tell everybody that whatever you believe, you can accept it and believe it, and that's totally up to you. But what I have been shown and what I have they've walked me through is that that you will have you'll cross over. You go through this experience where you go into a room that they call the healing room. And it's but you go also prior to the healing room, you go in through a life review. Now the life review is something where you go in and discuss what it was that you actually were sitting here to do, what happened and what didn't happen. It's not a long process, but it's just kind of a let's check the boxes. Here's what you were sitting to do, and did you actually accomplish that, or did it go south in Albuquerque?
Almost like a debriefing.
Yeah.
Did you finish your mission? Yes or no?
Yeah. All right. Good job. Yeah. And then then they set them into a healing space and then allow them to to move beyond that. So some people will stay in that realm for a long time to work through the traumas and the crap that they went through in this world. Others may not stand it as long and may transfer into doing work that's, more of, I've seen certain ones that were sent to deal with helping other children or mothers that have lost children, or, that their goal is to connect with those people to help them through whatever it is that they're here struggling with. And it's because they experienced it themselves and they struggled with it. So now they're, on the other side, and they kind of come to help guide that process for others.
Yeah. No, that's so on that journey, we've talked about past lives before. How do you feel? Is there such a thing as far as
absolutely?
And do we choose that? Do we choose our ultimate selves, if you will? Because I'm saying, hopefully I didn't sign no contract, because I need a break after this life. I don't want to jump back in. So I'm trying to figure out my debate as soon as I get in there.
No, yeah, you generally have, it is generally anywhere from a 50 to 100-year break between lifetimes.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, I'll need it.
So you get a little, you get a little decompression time there, and then you get a choice. But I will say that depending upon how this life went and how much you accomplished, or how much it was that you were able to do that you were sent here to do, will depend on your status or your elevation level in the spirit realm. So if you decide when you get there and you're like, well, hey, look, I don't want to be the dishwasher or the janitor, I want to go up there and, be doing this, then you can come back and be like, I want to be, so that you can get to other higher levels within the spirit realm.
Yeah.
You generally choose certain people to be on that journey with you across all your lifetimes.
I'd say that scares me. I've come to the realization that life is really based off of circumstance lately. So I'm like, do I want to roll the dice and be born again? And who knows where I end up? In what circumstance? I think hopefully I'm not dishwasher status. If I'm like a sous chef or something, I'll be all right.
Well, it's one of those things that, I think that each person will work through different things when they get there to make sure that, they make the right decisions. I've realized a lot of the lessons I've learned in this lifetime is that I had signed up with a bunch of dumbasses multiple lifetimes. So there was that. And I actually just have, I've been working a lot this lifetime to break those contracts and those relationships. And I was like, look, I'm not doing this with you anymore. This is the fifth lifetime and you're still an idiot. So I'm done.
And it only took you 5 lifetimes. Hey.
Right. Yeah. Look at me go.
Yeah. Well, I've heard some stories of people who talk like hundreds of lifetimes and they can't get rid of the other person, the soulmate or whatever it may be. Just go away.
I've experienced some of those, and because I work within the Akashic Records to actually help to read the Akashic Records, which is just pretty much the book of life, and go back in and anything that can be renegotiated or those contracts that have been put in place that need to be broken. That's something that I work with to help people break those contracts and ties that have kept them bound to certain people or situations to stop them. Yeah. Which can be very freeing. it's been super interesting to watch the results of it, where certain people, it's been watch them as they've broken them and we've moved past them, that where they can where they can go after that, because they're so much lighter from not carrying all that burden.
Yeah, no, I could imagine, especially lifetimes of burden. And that's why I don't think a lot of us realize like how much, different situations. And when you do, I don't know 100% sure, but I've met people that I immediately, when I meet them, I'm like,
I know you from somewhere.
Almost like you just feel the ton of bricks hit your shoulders, where you're like, there's something
and those
about
are the
you.
Ones you absolutely know that you've had something with in the past.
So, So I could imagine, like, if you could finally free yourself after so many, especially at a subconscious level, to where you actually are aware of it, like, oh my God, thank God. Why did it take me 3 lifetimes?
Yeah. Like I've just released some massive burdens here.
Oh yeah, that's what did I say one time? I was meeting someone on a first date, and they said something about baggage, and I'm like, honey, my baggage is like Hurricane Katrina. I got it everywhere. Like, don't even worry about it.
See, look, I always just tell them, I'm like, look, I have more baggage than Delta Airlines.
See, there you go. That's awesome. So have you ever, one of my favorite scenes, and I don't know if you're familiar with the show The Sopranos, is one of the characters gets a reading, or he's in a group, and like there's one spirit that just takes over, and he's like demanding that the psychic tell, I forget who it is, Polly, I believe it was, tell him that, I believe it was the guy Polly killed. And then, but have you ever got over like demeaning, over like just demanding spirits, or like, no, this needs to be done now?
So I used to do live readings when I first started in the industry. When it was, so I would do live on Facebook, and I would just go on live, and whoever jumped on.
Wow.
And I would read people and give them messages from people, whoever stepped forward. As far as the dead people that stepped forward, I would deliver those messages. Yeah. Those were sometimes some of the most intense, crazy experiences ever. And it was insane, because you're talking about, sometimes there would be hundreds, maybe even sometimes it gotten into the thousands, where on a live feed that then I have all these people that are pushing on my back. They're like, and I had some that were extreme, to wanting to push a message or wanting to get something across. And I'm like, but I just couldn't do them anymore. Once I proved that I was like, at least was able to get to the message out that when I'm legit and I'm not, then I just had to stop doing those in that capacity, because I was just, it would wipe me out. But yeah, there are plenty of us that will do that.
Yeah, never had one sit in the corner of your bedroom singing Henry VIII, I am.
No, but I did have one that was in my bathroom that sang "I'm an asshole" for several weeks.
Really? Wow.
Every time I would go past the bathroom, he sang that, and I was like, "Congratulations!" I mean, I really don't even know what you want from me, sir. I don't even know. I've had, I hadn't had that one. I've had, let's see, I've had a full-on choir in my bathroom at one point also, that was, that had bagpipes, and that was and organs. And that was a thing. That was weird, super weird. It was weird. I mean, I literally, that one was so clear. I left my bathroom and out of my house and walked outside because I thought it was something my neighbor was playing in their backyard.
Wow. So did they die with the instruments, or did they conjure them up? Like these are the questions.
Right. This was the house that I had my awakening in. So when I was say the height of the weird stuff, I could have written a book specifically on everything I experienced in that house, and it was all because I didn't have any boundaries up, and I didn't know how to control anything, and so everything was just like at that time. So the I'm an asshole guy was for somebody that I had crossed paths with. I ended up getting his message across to somebody, and that he left and went on. The choir,
they were just there.
They were just there. I mean, I would wake up to all kinds of weird stuff. I mean, so and that was one of them. I mean, I was like, why are we here? What are we doing? And how can I help you? That's always my question, is how can I help you and what are we doing?
I know for privacy purposes, can't go too deep into stuff, but what are some of the favorite, like some of the most emotional that you were like, I did good, this is awesome, you know what I mean? Like those special ones to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I don't ever give names or anything like that, but I mean, God, there are so many that I will say that have meant a lot to me. I mean, and honestly, I want to say around this time, about 4 years ago, I want to say it was right around this time, and I was doing a live feed because I started my business a little over 5 years ago, so I was still doing live feeds around that time. So I mean, and there was a live feed that I was doing at a lunchtime, which was a super rare and weird time for me. But because I never chose to do it at lunchtime, but I was really pushed to do it at the lunchtime that day. And I was in the middle of the session or in the middle of reading people, and I got stopped. I mean, and there was a woman that stepped forward, and the energy that she stepped forward with, I mean, I was sitting there on a live feed, bawling my eyes out. And it was a mother that had just died, and it was the stepmother of the child that was on the live feed that just joined in. And I was like, I started giving details, and I was like, this is what this lady looked like. This is how she passed. And I was like, this is what she's saying. I was like, I need to know who this is for. And the lady stepped forward, and I was like, she needs to talk to her daughter. And she had her daughter at that time because she had just died. The mom had died. And I want to say that was probably one of those that I was just like, I mean, shaking because it was just and I actually offered that woman a free reading for her child at that point, because I was like, I will have her come to my house. I'm here.
Yeah, no, that's it. Wow. That had to be super emotional, man.
It was. I mean, I was sitting there bawling my eyes out, and I was just like, good gracious. Any of those ones that are, for young children, for people that, even for suicides, people don't understand that. I mean, they're like, well, I mean, they were selfish and they did it. And I'm like, you have no freaking clue. Those people the suicides, I was like, there is so much turmoil, and there's so much spiritual stuff that was happening to them before they even died. And I was like, so, they were fighting a battle for so many years that you just didn't know anything about.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So, yeah. So I don't even know that there's specifics. I mean, all different ones, but I just can say that it's been it's a blessing to be that conduit to be able to help people with that message.
Oh, I could imagine. I could imagine. Have you found certain times of the day, certain times of the year are harder to read, or you get more, or some easier time, or there's certain times of the day where you're like, I don't want nothing to do with it. Like, let's shut it off. You know, not that you have that option, but.
Well, I do. I do.
Do?
I actually, I mean, there's rules when I leave this office, unless it's life threatening, or and then I can do something about. Don't come to me. Once I leave my office, I ask for it to be shut off because it was becoming too draining for me to be on all the time. I will say that the worst for me, what I would say, is once it gets too late at night, and that's not from it's from a spirit communication part. That's from an exhaustion part.
Like, give me my downtime.
Yeah, it's my downtime. And once I start getting to a certain point, I'm like, I just, I need to be down and kind of left be. So that has been one of those things that, but if I have to go do it, I mean, it's very spiritually, it's charged. I mean, especially midnight, 3 a.m., all those, those rumors of, the witching hour, they are so true.
Yeah, I always remember. So I was a single dad. Me and my ex-wife split up when the kids were really, really little, like 1 and 4. And so it was always me and them. And my time to do adult stuff, like, watch scary movies or whatever it may be, was when they went to bed. So it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm watching a Ghost Hunters show. I forget what it was, paranormal something. And they were doing an investigation, and they were talking about a demon. And they had a thing, and it brought up the name, and all of a sudden on my front door, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, oh my God, is it a demon? I opened it up, and it was my ex-wife. some
kind of demon, so kind of like a demon, like
yeah. No, she was in a rough way, but I always remember that, like, hearing about that 3 a.m. and then just being in that moment, and then all of a sudden the door just being pounded on. I'm like, oh my God. They can't get me.
Yeah. I see, and I've had a totally different experience with that, where I was around that time of night. I had another girlfriend of mine that was a medium. She was sleeping in the spare bedroom. I was sleeping in my room. And all of a sudden, around that time frame, we had just gotten to bed to go to sleep, and we had that boom, but it literally shook the walls of my house. Both of us came out of the bedroom. There was no one there, though.
And even you guys were both mediums, right? So, like, there was no disguising it.
We couldn't find, we couldn't find anything. We couldn't experience anything. I mean, it was the weirdest crap ever. I mean, first I was like, is it Fort Benning? Because I lived near the base at that time. And I was, down in the Columbus, Georgia area. And I was like, oh, no, it's not. I mean, that was just one solid boom, and it's 3 a.m. They wouldn't be doing that at this point. So,
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm good.
So one question I've always been curious about is, like, I've noticed, like, the more historic the place, the more activity tends to be, and it makes sense. I mean, the deeper the history, the deeper the years. I mean, and especially, the beginning of mankind and all the turmoil we put on each other. Like, of course, it makes sense. That kind of thing. Is it a universal language for you, or do you get someone coming up speaking French, speaking German, speaking, whatever it may be?
So, fun thing, there is twofold to that, I guess. I've actually had sessions that I've spoken in completely different languages that I don't speak, which is weird. And the first time that ever happened, I just had to keep looking at it, and I was like, I hope this makes sense, because I have no clue what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I was speaking completely in other languages. So that is because of the type of mediumship work that I could do. I mean, I was just channeling it, and they were doing the words now. But I have had others that they'll come and they will speak, but they do speak in ways that will let me know that is not their first language. Okay. Whether it's with a very thick accent, they will use maybe lots of gestures. There's certain things that they'll maybe do to show me that English was not their first language, or they didn't speak any English at all.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the paranormal groups we had talked to had mentioned about like not getting very much activity and then kind of like stepping back and being like, okay, when was the last time anyone was in this home? Okay, we'll say the 30s. What would a normal American 30s family be about? They would probably be about religion. And so they actually sung Amazing Grace and walked through the whole house. And then they said that kind of drew everyone out. Have you found that is that kind of, have you found that kind of be the case? You kind of have to throw out something that they can relate to kind of draw them out a little bit?
Some of them. It's been it is so interesting because spirits, I will say, are just like humans. So, I mean, just like the people that you meet in your day-to-day life, you're going to find those ones that are like super quiet, and it takes a lot to get them to draw them out and to trust you. And, they maybe stand back a little bit further because they're like, who is this? What are you doing? I mean, you're in my space, and those are the ones that, of course, there is some barriers and walls too. Then you find the other ones that are maybe a little bit more chatty, and they'll talk to you. And you have those other ones that are like super overbearing, and they're in your face, and they give you no actually personal space. Yeah. So, I mean, it's all across the board, and it really depends on the house. And it also depends on the people that are going into the house. So, depending on their energy or how they kind of present themselves, it could sometimes make it to be where they're like, I don't know yet. I haven't decided if I like or trust you. And want to be nice to you or even want to communicate with you. So, yeah.
Oh, the puppy.
Y'all got emotional about that too.
Yeah, so that's the truth.
She's backing me up on it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's a concern per se, but it's a thought that I have had lately. Like I watch a lot of YouTube and a lot of these paranormal groups, and I've noticed certain spots that are paranormal hot spots are getting rented out now, almost weekly, almost like every other day. In your opinion, how would that affect the spirit? I mean, that's got to be, if someone's coming in my house, even alive, and bugging me every other day, asking me the same questions, I'm just going to be like, you need to go.
It's horrible. I mean, so imagine that someone else is in control of your home. They get to rent it out for you. They don't get to tell you when they're coming, who's coming, or if these people have any etiquette to even coming into your space. Yeah. It is awful. I mean, they're like one of the ones that I guess I get a lot of messages when I see the different ones for is Lizzie Borden's house.
Yeah.
She's fed up.
Oh, I could imagine.
I mean, super fed up. So, I mean, there's certain ones that, I mean, it's like, I mean, how many times do y'all have to like just continue to kick this freaking horse? I mean, and the sad part is that after so much of it, it no longer becomes who you think you're communicating with. You might get some information that's similar or makes sense to the spirit that you think you're communicating with, but it is by far, that is not who you're communicating with, and you are opening doorways to stuff that you should not be toying with.
By communicating as often as people are they kind of feeding an energy almost? Like, is it
absolutely?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Case in point, Slenderman.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That was at one point not an entity.
Really? Yeah, I don't know much about the history. I know like some of the creepy pastas, but nothing.
Right. And so a lot of it was just about stories, and a lot about was like, the different stories and movies and things like that started coming about with Slenderman. That was not an actual legitimate entity, but because so much energy was fed into it, it became one.
Oh, wow. That does make sense. So you're almost manifesting something.
You're manifesting it.
And when you get that many people talking about it, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yes. I believe that's what happened with the Ouija board demon. I won't say the name, but I believe that's what happened. No, yeah, I believe that's what happened. Was so many people got wrapped up and started, trying to do whatever. It gave so much power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It does. And I mean, the thing is that, I mean, any of the stuff that is done can be done and done safely, and it will not cause any problems if it's done with someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah. The
problem is that now with all these different paranormal shows and with all these different taps and tools and everything else like that, everybody thinks that they can do it. And I mean, I don't discriminate or tell anybody not to do it if that's what they choose to do, but just be very, very cautious. That's the number one thing that I would say I probably get called about is that somebody opened a doorway and now they don't know how to shut it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you don't know what you're getting into. Real quick, I'll just kind of briefly tell you my one experience that I had that was undoubtedly supernatural. Like I've seen some stuff move, but you're like, was it the wind? Was it, we were in an old house here where I live. It was a brothel at one point. And as soon as we got in, we started setting up. I was a cameraman, and you started smelling patchouli. You started smelling like.
Hold on, I lost you there for a second. My lights went out for a second. So
no worries.
That was great. Right as you said.
They know.
Ouija board statements and everything else. Light goes out.
We were doing an investigation in an old house, locally that was a brothel way back in the day, supposedly, and there had been other investigations done. So we go, and I'm setting up my gear, and immediately you start smelling patchouli. You immediately start smelling different things, and I'm like, and I tell the investigator, I'm like, hey, and he's like, let's just start it right now. I'm like, okay. So I put the brand new battery, fully loaded, in my camera, and I mentioned, hey, if you need energy, go ahead and pull it out. Before I could even say battery, camera died. And I'm like, oh, so there's something here. Upstairs was good. Before we started the investigation, we went downstairs in the basement. And it's a full size basement, the size of the house, with a lot of little weird rooms unfinished. And during the season, they do a Halloween haunted house down there where they walk people through. And they still had some of the stuff set up. This was like in March. Well, I manage Halloween stores during the season. So I make the comment as we walk through. Someone's like, oh, this might get in the way of our investigation. Oh, don't worry about it, guys. I'm the Halloween store guy. None of this stuff will get into me. We try it out. Nothing seems to be plugged in. It's all dead. So we get down there. They're doing their investigation. The meters are going crazy. And I keep seeing something darker than pitch black moving around down
I've
there.
experienced what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm standing next to this room that I think during the haunted house they used as like an electric chair room, where they had like a step pad in a chair. And if you stepped on it, the wires and things will go off. No one's in the room at all. My back is to it. All of a sudden, all their meters just die. And everything in that room goes off. Scares the bejesus out of me. I mean, all I can yell is, if you touch me, I'll beat your, it's not knowing like what, the stupidest thing I could have said. But in that moment, I'm like realizing that maybe it isn't an evil entity. Maybe it's just someone fed up with people coming down there like, oh,
Absolutely.
You're the Halloween store guy?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they got a kick out of it. Yeah. But there's certain things like that I definitely feel like, that maybe they're there and they don't want you to be coming in so much, and they don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're all over the board with that. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's like, you've poked the bear one too many times, I mean, it's, just anybody. I mean, even the quietest, nicest person, after you poke them and poke them and poke them so many times, they're kind of like, I'm done. I'm fed up.
Yeah.
I'm over it. So.
And you get asked the same questions how many times? What's your name? How did you get here? Do you know what year it is? You got to be annoyed about the 13th person asking you that. Can't you come up with something more creative? Come on, man.
Please. Yeah.
Ask me my first grade teacher's name. How about that?
Yeah. Ask me something exciting. Something. I mean, something that is more, I mean, or maybe why I'm here still. What's, what you can do to get me from here to somewhere else. I mean, so that I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'll kind of wrap it up. Definitely want to put everyone in touch with your Facebook and your YouTube, correct? You have
Facebook and my website.
And the website,
I'm on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I'm not doing much on YouTube anymore, but the TikTok, Instagram, you can find me anywhere. But it's clairvoyantjess.com.
Okay. And I'll have all the links and stuff in the description when we post it, so they can click right on it. And okay, guys, I had to twist her arm. the month of December, she's running some sales. So
Yes.
it doesn't ever do that. So I'm telling you guys, you need to jump on it and take advantage, get some readings. It's the holiday season. Are you missing a loved one? That's a great way, that kind of stuff. Do you just want to know what the next year holds for you?
Year.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Next year's a big one. And then, of course, obviously, people always, relationships are always a biggie right now.
Oh, yeah.
When everything's getting into the holiday season. So, but I don't run promos any other time of year. And right now, I launch, different specials every few days. So, I mean, right now, and for the next 24 hours, I'm doing half price on my my half hour sessions. To give guidance for the next coming year. So they're $44, which is, crazy.
That's a
for
steal.
Me to do.
Yeah, that's a steal. Yeah, definitely.
So, and I'm only doing that for the next 24 hours for anybody that wants something like that. And it helps with relationships and, your upcoming path or what's going to be kind of coming for you at least a high level because this is only a half hour, but it does at least give you a little bit of direction.
That's a great deal. That's a really great deal. Take advantage of that, guys, man. Well, we really appreciate it. So awesome. Now, I told you I wasn't going to get hacky on you. I said I wasn't going to ask about Jimmy Hoffa or anything like that. But one thing I will ask, if you could give all of our audience a message for the upcoming year, what would it be? And that doesn't have to be like your grandma is going to give you $1 million. Just be like love, peace, and joy.
No, absolutely not. Spirit says to stay present. They see too often now as us not being present. We stay tied up and wrapped up into so many other things, to what's coming in the future or what's happened in the past, or even into our electronic devices. They've asked us to realize and remember that we aren't actually staying present and staying in the moment of what we're supposed to be actually paying attention to. And so they're really wanting to make sure that we're aware that that is something that they are really, it's saddening to them. Because we're allowing life to pass us by. We're allowing our loved ones and the relationships to just slip through our fingers because we're not even taking the time that we have to spend the time that we're being given.
Yeah, that's an awesome message. And hey, we don't want to be that guy or that gal on the line saying, wait a minute, I didn't tell Aunt Sally that I loved him. And then they end up getting lost. And then you're in a house, an old greenhouse in Needles, California, scaring me, trying to do an investigation. You don't want to be that guy.
No.
So make sure you tell your loved one, especially this time of year, guys. And real quick, I always wrap our podcast up. If any of you are feeling sad, any of you feel like you can't go on, there's places you can call. Our community is great. Make sure you reach out, guys. Nothing is stupid. How you're feeling is super important. So make sure you share it, guys, because you only get one shot. That's it. So, all right, awesome. I'm sorry to throw that on you. It was on.
No, I love it. I love it, and I like the message that you're delivering, because I think that's a super important one. That people think, well, it was just it wasn't important enough, or I wasn't important enough, or I don't want to burden other people. And I think that's we're sent here to have a human experience.
No, definitely. I tell a story. There was a kid I never met. He's probably a kid. He's probably like 20 years old or something. Never met. We worked for the same company, but hundreds of miles apart. And I had gotten a call to go and help. I'm a manager. Go and help that particular store. So I drive my hundreds of miles. Don't know anyone's name. Never met anyone. And they had mentioned that a kid had committed suicide a week earlier in the parking lot. Still don't know his name for the life of me, but he affected my life. Here I am talking about it with you 2.5 years later. And I just wish I could have met him and said, hey, it will matter. You don't know me.
Matter.
Yeah. Like I still don't know you, but it matters to me. Like 2.5 years later, I'm talking about you, kid.
Yeah.
Like, I just wish you would have known that. And I try to live my life like that. Don't let anyone, feel so bad that, that they'll go out and do something stupid. So anyway, that's my story.
I agree.
So awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. All the links and everything are in the description. Make sure you're hitting her up. Get some readings. Awesome deals, guys. Don't miss out. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, turn this off real quick. Oh, there we go.
I have a question.
thank you for joining us on the It's 420 Somewhere podcast. Broadcasting worldwide and brought to you by thedailydank.com. Check out our merchandise and amazing content. And follow us on all our social media. Now, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.